notice my quarantine look?
You look gorgeous. What's different?
I have little facial hairs.
Oh, my eyes aren't that good. Oh, yes,
No?
I see that. Yes, yes, yes.
See?
Well, how about my quarantine look? I'm going to be gray.
Well,
Go ahead.
we're going to show this lovely quarantine look in a second. Of course, that voice is our dear friend, Janet Gallin. Janet Gallin. She's back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I just talk about love letters?
You may talk about love letters, but before you do, can I tell you how beautiful you are? Look at
Oh,
that. Oh, that gorgeous, the blue. I love blue.
I'm glad.
Everything you're hearing. So anyway, here we go. Love letters.
Okay. Oh, hello, everybody. I just want to talk to you all about so many things, but right now, every time, and I'm not the only one, I'm sure you've had this experience also, every time you watch the news, there's more on what we can do and what we should be doing. And yesterday, or this morning, I have no sense of time anymore, I saw a news item, and it was an expert on loneliness. I don't know how you get to be an expert on loneliness. I think we're all kind of getting to be, familiar with it, certainly. But he was saying that, he was saying that you can do something about the loneliness. And he suggested that you have video chat calls with people and that you email them regularly. You have nowhere on his list was sit down and write a letter. It's not on anybody's list but mine and a handful of other people who do it regularly. And I will say that, you can't reread. Well, it's important to know that technology changes very quickly these days, very quickly. And I want to talk about that in a minute, because do you all remember, can you see this? Yes, you all remember these?
Oh, yeah.
What was this, like 1980-ish? And you could put your whole heart on these. You could just put one of these floppy disks in and put down everything you feel and love, and you'd have it forever.
Yeah.
Well, now you can take these and just flush. I keep them as a dire warning. It was wonderful. And remember these? Okay. People were putting their whole hearts onto those.
I still have 6 boxes of those I have to look through.
Okay, you can look through them, but the truth is, you're not going to be able to buy anything to play them on.
I know.
They're gone. Nobody's been making what you play these on for ages. So this is adios. And honestly, it is. It's just, but I'm going to show you something. Okay, so I want to say first, David, how often do you, and everybody listening, how often do you hear people saying things like, I wish I had a magic wand? Ever heard people say that?
I have. In fact, they used to sell them across the street until they closed this.
I have a few of those too, with the big gold star, yes. But you do have a magic wand. This. You've got a magic wand.
Give me it.
I'm going to send you some if you don't. And I will tell you that we have at our fingertips, there you go, darling. We have at our fingertips, literally, and I don't use that phrase often,
right,
the power to make people feel wonderful, to make them feel valuable, to make them know how beautiful they are and in exactly which way they are beautiful. You have the power to do that. How could you resist using that?
No, that's the thing, to make people feel beautiful and good and
right. It's an enormous power that we have, and I know that it is because I have written, just because I felt like it, a note here and there and a letter here and there to tell people not just how much I care about them, but like what it is about them that I love. And that's what makes it a love letter. I'm writing to right now. Okay, well, let's talk about letters. Okay, so this goodbye and the little floppy disks, never mind. I have here a letter. I don't know if you can see this. I have here another letter.
Wow, it's gorgeous writing.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Gorgeous writing. These letters were written almost 100 years ago.
Is that some from your family?
No, it's from, I saw it at some kind of a used bookstore. They had a pile of old letters. Well, I'm like a drunk in a bar with that. So I got me some, and 100 years ago, and it is as readable today as the day it was written.
Wow.
Now, I just want to make the point that technology changes, like you went like that. Technology is every too often.
Yeah.
When it comes to the best storage system for how you feel and how you love, it isn't going to be any cousin of this. Best storage system for how you feel is still a love letter.
Wow.
What else do you have that sits there and is, still readable after all this time? Not much.
Well, not much, but let me tell you, I was going to promise not to talk about my 60 boxes, but I would.
I'd like to hear that. Yeah.
I got well, just to let you know, and everybody else knows, I cut it down to 20 boxes. I got rid of 40 boxes of stuff. Make a long story short, I found letters and letters that I have saved. And
of course you did.
It's gold.
I know. There's nothing that compares to it. I have an old friend.
Letter from my dad.
Yes. And people keep letters.
Yeah. You got a letter from your friend?
Oh, it doesn't matter what you said matters. I mean, all these letters that we find. She sent me letters I wrote to her like 40 years ago. And, today, by the way, when you write these letters, make copies of them so you don't have to be dependent on somebody finding it in some old closet later. You can see what you said. And I will tell you that the love letters you write today, I think I said this last time, but I'll say it again. The letters you write today are going to be kept, as everybody knows. Everybody's finding letters now because we're home in isolation and we're cleaning out closets, And so these letters are saved for generations. So your grandchildren, your great nieces, strangers like I am here, will know something about the person you wrote about, and they'll know something about you. And please date all the letters, date them. I have put on a couple of them, April, whatever, May 1st, 2020, year of the plague.
Dates are so...
right. This is historically important. I just got a little birthday card from a friend, and these two women always make their own cards, and they're great photographers. And I'm reading this, and I looked on the back. I always look everywhere, to see what little, and on the back, was a picture of them side by side with their faces together. I mean, they're a couple, so they get to hug.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of them with their faces side by side, each wearing a mask. Just a little tiny thing on the back.
Wow.
And if that isn't an important piece of historical information, so many ways to do it. So many ways to do it. So people down the line are going to know about you. Can we talk about what to do home alone now? Yes. We're home alone. Oh, I want to talk about this power that you have, the magic wand. Yes, the magic wand. There was a time, thank you. There was a time, it's like cheers. There was a time long ago that we didn't have any writing. We did have, we are a communicating species. We need to communicate, always have. Our life depends on it. And by the way, now these experts are saying that if you're too isolated for too long, it's not good for your heart, it's not good for your health. The anxiety and the loneliness and the depression is bad for our health.
Yeah.
So we can't afford to be weakened by extra factors here. But we have always been a species desperately in need of communication. And what did we have? Well, we had smoke signals, and that was as smart as can be, given the time.
Right.
But smoke signals, up in smoke. There's a
Oh,
reason
yeah.
to say that.
Well,
So
you say up at,
what?
you know what, the first thing I thought of was Cheech and Chong.
And what about them?
Because they had a movie called Up in Smoke.
Oh, I don't remember that. Okay, well, that's where it goes out. The signals were effective for short distance,
Yeah.
but, particles of smoke in the atmosphere dissipate pretty quickly. Then we had drums. And I want to tell you, David, if everybody want to go look up the talking drums of Africa, it is the most glorious thing to know about. And it makes sense. The talking drums of Africa, but drum beats also, as long as the sound waves are, doing their, but sound waves flitter apart too. So that's certainly not permanent. We had oral histories. People were very good about telling their children clan history. And I think a lot of that was probably very, very reliable, but people get lazy and at some point they're not passing it on.
Yeah.
Then came pictorial, pictographs, which then kind of melted down into what we have now, that actual precious power, those little tiny representations of sound, the alphabet. We only need 26 of them. We can make every sound except for, we can't do that. We can't spell, but we can make t and th and sh and you should. We are set free by this.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we get to write down how we feel and have it last forever. Socrates, by the way, not to say anything mean about any of our Greek greats, I think it was Socrates was very distressed at the whole prospect of writing things down because he said it would destroy our memories.
What would destroy our memories?
Well, we won't have to memorize things if we can just write them down and have them there, you see.
Oh.
I know. I mean, I don't lament that we don't have the sundial anymore, or slide rules. I mean, I almost don't need a memory in lots of ways because I have, oh, God bless it, Mr. Google.
Mr. Google.
Yes, but still. So we're home alone, and often we have children in the house, and there are lots. Oh, I read another thing today. I'm telling you, everything you read now is a clue to get the pen and paper. What to do with your children. People are apparently watching less TV now, 6 weeks into this isolation, and they are looking for things to do creatively, otherwise, to entertain themselves, to entertain their children. I did a workshop with 5-year-olds some time ago on love letters. They've never seen any communication that didn't go like this.
Yeah.
They loved it. I told you about this last time, so I won't repeat. But there is no age too young, I think, for parents to help their children, encourage their children to sit down and write love letters, write them to each other. Let brothers and sisters write to each other.
Even if you're in the same space.
Yes, because, what is it? Dear Jonathan, my brother's name, I'm sitting here in the house with you, and I know we're cooped up together, but I just want to tell you all the things that I really love about you and the fun I'm having with you, and then just list it. Write it down, mail it, date, and mail it, and it'll come with his name on the envelope. It's a wonderful thing. Write letters to yourself. Dear Janet, I just want to congratulate you on how well you're taking this isolation. I want to congratulate you because you have finally mastered chocolate frosting. And you're baking cupcakes and cakes for friends and leaving them down at the door stoop and telling them to come. Whatever it is I'm doing, when I'm 90, which actually is frighteningly close, I shouldn't have picked that, but I may read this letter and think, well, good for me. But my children and my grandchildren will know something. I also want to talk about, sometimes elderly couples now are separated and they can't see each other because one's in a care facility and the other's, how awful. And you can help. You can help. But the key to, I mean, every computer has lucid or bright, right? Nobody has your handwriting, even if it's a really scrawl, even if it's something, even if you have to help somebody by holding that person's paralyzed hand and helping them sign it, I will tell you that that's the proof that someone was actually there. When you get something that's just totally printed out, where's the proof that there was a person there? Anybody could have done that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can do that.
Comes from their heart, from their soul, through their hand onto the page.
Thank you. Okay, I'm so glad you said that because you're reminding me of a little something that I know is important and I've always said. What comes from the heart enters the heart. And if you have a 2-year-old, help. That little child could, I mean, there's a point at which you can't, although, they take babies' footprints at birth and fingerprints. You do a fingerprint thing of your 6-month-old to the grandmother. Send a photograph. There's always something you can do. Always. And yes, so like, what would you think the most difficult love letter would be to write? I mean, to whom?
Oh, one of the most difficult that I had was to the one to my aunt.
Yes.
When she was passing away.
That was emotionally difficult.
Yeah, emotionally difficult.
Right. And that's something to conquer also. I'm thinking of people who are finding it difficult, people on the autism spectrum, people on, I mean, there's so many people who seem to have limitations that they don't. I mean, they don't have, they're still, right. I mean, we both know a lot of people who, and I've had the pleasure of doing love letters live with some, and as some with Down syndrome, and people know how they feel. Now I'm talking about people who are very severely limited by certain conditions, where it seems that they really cannot express themselves what they feel.
Well, the surprising thing is
they all can.
Everybody can.
That's right.
Everybody can, and you know it. We
That's
got a
right.
letter the other day from one of our students that was the most beautiful thing. And I have to ask John if we could, well, I think he texted it to me, but I would love to get an email of it because it's frameable.
Okay.
It's just a beautiful letter.
Written by a student with what?
I'm trying. My brain is coming to me on her name. And
okay. I didn't care about the name, but I'm just thinking, like, people know how they feel. People know how they feel. People who are so limited, for example, by severe cerebral palsy and really can't. I mean, I'm thinking of one young woman who really couldn't speak understandably, and yes, she was very, very brilliant. And she had a device and she could type.
She's watching right now.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi there. Everybody can do something. So I would just encourage everybody to do something.
Yeah.
And I want to say, here's a really good exercise, because what goes into a love letter, I'm going to tell you how to do it. You get yourself a nice piece of scratch paper and the magic wand. And you know how I feel about letters or anything that goes, "You're so special." What does that mean? I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what that means. But put down, like, just take some. Okay, I would take you, for example. Right. And I would put, I'm not going to ever tell you you're so special, because what are you supposed to understand from that, really? Right. I'm going to write down everything that makes you so special. And I'm going to talk about what you do for a living. I'm going to talk about what a great singer you are and what a wonderful director you are. And I'm going to talk about how absolutely adorably handsome you are. And, uh-huh. And, I'm just going to write down all these things. I'm going to write down the spark you bring to every conversation. I'm just going to write down a whole bunch of things, specific things about you. I'm going to write down how devoted you are to your mother. I'm going to write down everything I know about you. And then I'm going to look at it and I'm going to realize, well, I've got my love letter.
Mm.
And then I'm going to transfer all that to a real piece of stationery and put it in the mail. It's so much easier than people think. And what's hardest to do, I think, and anything in what you do for a living also, it's that blank piece of paper staring at you.
Mm.
Right? It seems difficult. Uh-huh. Right. That's nobody's friend, the blank piece of paper. So just start filling it up. If you're writing, thank you. If you're writing to your parents or your grandparents and you come from a family where, immigration was last year or last generation, what kind of bravery does it take to leave a country that is persecuting your family and to pick up and just grab a child under each arm and run for freedom?
Mm.
Write that down.
Mm.
It's all part of your own history.
And ultimately, if you write one letter even a week, in 36 weeks, you can have a book.
Right.
A
Right.
book of letters.
Yes. And the real history that we have, the best history, and you see every once in a while, it's a compilation of letters from some politician. It's a compilation of letters from some politician's sweetheart, or well, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you write down today is really your own history in your own hand, and will be so valuable in years to come.
By the way, my brain, which is slow sometimes, Ashley wrote that beautiful letter. So
Okay.
Ashley, thank you for that letter. Keep writing, because she's amazing. She's an amazing writer.
Well, I spent a day at at school with John, and yeah, I was just, I remember, I was so touched by this. So roll call,
Right.
when I've never seen, that was such a powerful thing, because he called.
Yeah, no, I was sorry for interrupting, but that's one of my favorite parts of the day, where we all get together.
Yes, and everyone's name is called. Who would have thought growing up that roll call was anything but a waste of time? No. So John starts the day by roll call. He calls, and I would put this in a letter to him. He has made an art form of roll call, a powerhouse. So every single student's name is called, and every single student indicates somehow, I am here.
Right.
Yes.
It's sort of like, you just reminded me, it's sort of like Miss Mary Ann on Romper Room.
Oh, yeah.
And I see David and Ashley and Blair and John and Diana.
You recognized for who you are.
And Janet.
Thank you, honey. Isn't that what a love letter is? A love letter is putting your best self to paper, for starters. And I said last time, but I think this is worth saying again, just in case anybody was murky on this, that your best self, in my opinion, is that part of you that sees the best in others. So for the purpose of a love letter, okay, somebody's been a pain in the neck, you can drop it for the letter's sake and just focus on what's good. And by the way, I once did write a hate letter to someone. Yes, it was a nasty piece of work. It was to a car company that had done everything wrong. Oh, they were just vile. And I wrote a hate letter.
I bet you love doing that.
No, I didn't, actually. It made me feel sick to my stomach.
Really? Wow. Did you not get out your emotion?
No, I was bathing in anger. That was no good.
But when you wrote it out and got rid of it, no?
I mailed it to them.
Oh, okay.
I didn't feel good. It didn't feel so good. You think it's going to feel good. It didn't. But the point is, more to the point, I know what happens to hate letters. They don't get read. I mean, people, okay, so the CEO of Oldsmobile, whatever it was, yes, Lincoln, gets this hate letter from me. And the first thing he does is open it and reads the first 2 sentences and throws it in the wastebasket. Why would somebody want to read a pile of hate about themselves? No. The second thing that possibly happens is he reads the whole thing and his conclusion is that I'm insane, not that they've done anything wrong.
Right.
So, that's you also have the power to do that to yourself. It doesn't help.
And what I guess you have to do is either get it out of your system another way, or shift it to show the love that you
Yes.
have.
Yes. That's the art. So to shift it and concentrate on, I know you mean well. Anyway, yes. So there's, but mostly I want to just focus right now really on people writing letters from home.
Yeah.
Make it, I would say with your children, sit down and have an hour a day devoted to letter writing.
Yeah.
If that's too much, maybe an hour every couple of days. But you'll have something wonderful.
I think it's wonderful, and that's what you're all about. Love letters.
Yeah, yeah.
And
gratitude letters. I mean, okay, I just wrote one to. Well, I got a new mop. I've discovered that I love mopping floors. I never did mop floors,
Yeah.
and I mean, I would have sooner moved than mop a floor. Like if I dropped a jar of honey, okay, I'd have to get down on my hands and knees and hot water and clean it up. But
a jar of honey.
Mopping a floor. Well, I got myself an cedar mop with this little treadle thing where you spin them. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun. So I wrote them a love letter of thank you.
Yeah.
That was fun to do. I'm going to do a couple to the post office. By the way, post office. Well,
what? Oh, no, I just thought of a great idea.
Well,
which you probably already said. You took I have this in my notes. I think everybody needs to, at the studio.
Yes.
Write a letter.
Oh, sure. Well, here's a fun thing to do. When you have a group of people together, and I do this, and I've done this in a couple of workshops. I did one with high school students once, and they were a little uncomfortable with a love letter workshop, these high school students.
Why?
I don't know. They weren't uncomfortable with much. These are very sophisticated, open, easy kids.
Yeah.
But a love letter. So I said, everybody look to your left and write a love letter to that person. Just from what you can see that's positive, write it down. And they did, and they mailed it, and it was just a magic act.
I remember when you came to Meet the Biz several years ago. Maybe it's like over 5 now.
Oh, I know.
And when you did an exercise like that where we wrote a letter and we mailed it to that person. Yeah. I thought it was a gorgeous exercise.
It is, and there's so many good ways to do it. I mean, you can do this at home with if you're stuck at home with people. You can just have a day where you even just draw straws, draw names out of put all 4 or 5 names in a bowl, and then the name you get, you have to write a letter to that person saying everything that you find wonderful. Or you could just do a you can just tailor make these games. Yes. And then there's the joy of, it's hard to do. I don't know how you'd really do this at home, but in a group, which I hope we get to have someday again, groups, you write a letter to yourself. And, people all have something to be proud about and strengths. And you write a letter to yourself about just those things, the strengths that you have personally, what you've been able to accomplish in this world. And then you just give it, like I would collect them all. And then when I had a feeling that that person needed that letter, I'd go slip it in the mailbox. And you want to know, it always, apparently to what people say, came on the exact day that they needed most. to be reminded of their value.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, if you're sensing, I found this in my life, if you're sensing to reach out to somebody, there's a sort of a magical reason about it. I don't know
Yeah.
if that magical is the right word, but in a way it is, because if you're feeling it, maybe they're feeling it, and
Oh,
maybe they need it,
yes,
just like
exactly.
you need it.
Yes. And by the way, have you ever noticed? I mean, I notice this all the time when a certain amount of time goes by and I haven't spoken to a friend. I mean, life gets busy. It could be 6 months and you haven't spoken to somebody you care about. And that person calls you that day. That person calls you that day, and you find yourself saying, "Oh, I was going to call you tomorrow." And are people a little suspect of that? I don't think there's reason to be. I think two people who care about each other can go about the same length of time, and then they have a need to find each other.
Yeah.
I think there's that. So if you were to write a love letter right now, who would it be to?
God. Maybe God.
Oh,
I was thinking, oh God, who should I write to? And right now, I think I would write it to God.
perfect. And where would you mail it?
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I would send it back to me,
There you go.
because
I would think that.
that's so interesting,
Yeah.
because God is all around us, right? So if we get it back, it's like a message from God in a
All
way
right.
to ourselves.
Well, and when you read that later, it's going to be a nice reminder of how you were feeling about it on this date that you wrote it, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes really a nice reminder when you're feeling a little low to get a reminder of how strong your faith is really,
Yeah.
or was that day anyway, you know?
And God meaning whatever, people
Right.
have different visions of what God is, and
Sure.
a spirit, an energy, Buddha, Allah, Jesus. We can go on.
That's of course the writer to decide.
And some people feel God's within
Excuse me.
yourself, in your heart.
Sure. So many things to do. So for those of you who are home alone in isolation and you are feeling any kind of, I mean, I just got an email from a friend of mine and she said she's just feeling so sad today and she doesn't, well, I have an envelope actually addressed to her. Oh, and that's the other thing. I've got a stack of envelopes addressed and I'm just going to chip away at them. I mean, one is to Amazon, one
Mm.
is to Google. I already wrote to UPS. I've got 3 coming to the post office.
Mm.
Do you know the history of the post office?
Tell me.
Oh, I can't. It's so long, but I'm going to do my next love letters live on it, and I hope you will see it.
Oh, good.
It's
Now,
just,
it's going to be on your website?
yeah.
Okay.
And I have to say that, right now there's well, there was a picture, in some news article a while ago, a couple of weeks ago, a postal worker, and all of a sudden they're being called heroes. They were always heroes. They were always heroes. I'm going to talk about this another time, and I want everybody to listen to this because heroes they always were. It was so dangerous delivering mail
Yeah.
that the post office actually reached out and looked for wiry, strong, wiry young men with no family, orphans preferred.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how dangerous it was. That when you died in some mountain pass, there wouldn't be a family to be doubly hurt by your. I mean, it was so dangerous.
Mm.
Anyway,
God. But we can listen to that on
yes,
loveletterslive.com.
yes, and you can also write a little love note to your mail carrier and just tape it to the front door.
I love that.
I did that. I mean, I didn't want it to go with my outgoing mail, so I just taped it to the front door.
Right.
So many
Well,
things to do to make other people feel
so
good.
many. And one thing I'm going to do this
Well,
weekend is, or during the next week, is write a love letter to you and thank you.
oh,
for
Thank you.
visiting again
Thank
and
you.
being with us. You have given so much love and support to the Meet the Biz program at Performing Arts Studio West. It's
Well, I love what you do. I mean, it's so beautiful what you do, and the strength you enable in others. Yes,
well, we're a family there.
I
We're a
know.
family. Meet the Biz and John Paces at Performing Arts Studio West. I can mention everybody who works there and the family, the students, the actors who go
Right.
there. So
Yeah, it would be kind of fun to do something like this there with that group. Like
oh, like right.
everybody write a love letter to the person sitting to your right.
I tell you what,
Well,
when we get out of quarantine,
I can come down and do that with you.
I would love you to spend the day and do it.
Fabulous. I would love that too. Thank you, honey.
Oh, thank you, honey. I
So
love
now
you.
what I'm saying now to people is right now, right now, right now.
Right now, right now.
Yeah.